Man, I'm so excited today to be talking with one of my favorite people on the planet in one of my natural environments. So Unscripted, we're in a natural environment for me, which is a gym. Because, that's kind of where I I've kind of learned. That's where I got my knowledge. That's where I became famous, in the gym. And there's nobody that I'd rather be in a gym with than my good friend, Tommy. Kyle, thanks for being a part of Unscripted.
Dino, thank you for having me. I love the environment, I love the place, and as I tell people all the time, this is where I grew up, a round orange ball filled with air.
Yeah.
It's taken me all over the world, let me share Jesus.
Yes, it is. Now, so where'd you play high school basketball?
I played high school basketball at a small Christian school called Bethel in North Alabama.
North Alabama, so you're an Alabama guy?
Alabama guy.
And then you went on to college, you had a great career.
At a small school, Tennessee Temple.
Yeah.
And I actually started for 3 years, had a great career, lost in small college national championship game my senior year. Still blame one of my dear friends who's actually a character coach at Baylor, that if he could play defense, we'd have won.
Okay.
But
did y'all play together?
Yeah, we played together.
Well, we played college ball near the same time. You're much younger, so we're both college basketball players.
Oh, yeah.
For all those, we're college athletes. You just did a whole lot better than me. I was a college basketball player at a D8, Section 6, NAIA/Christian on the side league. So I've got a little college ball in me. But so high school ball, college ball. And then when you left college ball, you jumped into a ministry opportunity where it was mixing athletics and sports. Was that called SCORE? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so actually I left college thinking I was going to go be a college basketball coach.
Sure.
And God kind of closed that door. Next thing you know, I accepted a job as a high school coach. And
okay.
arrogantly at 21 said, I'll do this for 2 years and I'll go back. I was there for almost 8 years.
You did.
During that time,
okay, there we go.
I worked with SCORE, who at the time was taking college athletes all over the world, bringing in large crowds and sharing Jesus at halftime. I was responsible for coaching the Division I athletes, which was crazy.
So love being a coach, high school?
I love coaching the game.
You did well, didn't you?
We did. We did very well. Did very well in the state of Alabama, very well overall. And then just from that with SCORE, I got to coach a little bit of USA basketball, under 19, in the World Games in Germany. Literally got to go literally all over the world. Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Dominican Republic.
When did you give your life to Christ?
Gave my life to Christ when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And just to remember it, I'm just clear as it was yesterday, but it was really in college. It's my senior year that I went all in and said, God, you've got me.
Yeah.
But it was at 32 when I was at a leadership conference one day and a guy asked me, Coach, do you know the Bible the way you know your basketball playbook?
Wow.
Dino, it changed my life.
Yeah.
It was that day that I realized when I heard him speak that. Now, I didn't know he was a keynote speaker. He tricked me. And he quoted from the Word of God.
Yeah.
And I realized I didn't know the Bible, even though I've been around it all. I had a Bible degree.
Yeah.
I've been around it in church all my life, the way I knew the basketball playbook.
Yeah.
And it was that day at 32 years old that rocked my world and said, I got to know the Bible that way.
Yeah. Well, you still got them handles, man. You got the handles with the orange ball and you got the handles with the Bible.
Yep.
And, we're playing a little pig here today. So I know you're going to have to use your other hand, as you're seeing some of that form, because that's about the only way I can compete with you is you're shooting with your offhand because of some surgery, but I'm shooting with my good hand. So that's how we're doing this today. I just want to make sure you're clear on the rules of this big game.
Well, we want to give you an opportunity. Now, my son would say I probably wasn't a great shooter with my dominant hand, but we're going to work with the left hand. As long as we don't go too far out, we'll be good.
We're not going to go too far. They never let me dribble really past the lane. That was all I was able to do. And so during that time, playing ball, coaching ball, opportunity to do character development, missions, crusades, using that basketball, all of that has really led to, and it's like it's culminated in this opportunity now in how you lead nations of coaches, which is just phenomenal. And we'll talk a lot about that. But do you see all of that, your timeline, leading to now this incredible ministry that you do and how you work with so many different leaders?
Would have never fathomed as we walked through it what God had in store in his journey.
Yeah.
But it all ties together. It's like I tell young people all the time, God really does have a plan for you to prosper you and for good. You just got to trust him. I thought that I would coach basketball the rest of my life. I never dreamed I would coach coaches.
Wow.
But it was on that SCORE trip that two young men in the SEC school gave their life to the Lord. And my tension in life is discipleship. And I wanted someone to mentor them and disciple them. And I found literally found a young man to lead a Bible study at Krispy Kreme with 2 players at a SEC university.
Right. And you made that connection.
We made the connection from the trip.
Yeah.
And then a year later, the head coach of that school is going, I want this guy full time. So over 20 years ago, my wife and I got credit for putting the first full-time chaplain in the SEC in men's college basketball. So it was
But had no idea.
No idea.
It's one step at a time.
Yep. Just a total faith, one step at a time, trusting him. I didn't want to go where I went to college. There was a pastor that said, hey, you need to go there. This guy loves basketball, loves Jesus.
I got you.
It was at that college that I met the guy that ran Score. It was him that when I became a high school basketball coach said, hey, I want you to do these trips. I'm like, I'll be the water boy. I don't need to be coaching around the SEC guys. Till today, leading a national ministry that we're getting to pour into high-level leaders literally all over the world.
And tell us a little bit about Nations of Coaches. What's going
on? Nations of Coaches was really a vision of Jim Haney. At the time, he was the executive director of the National Association of Basketball Coaches, the most powerful man in the sport. And he realized that coaches were the most influential people in our society. And he said, God, I know this sport was created to bring young men to you. I want to take the game back. And he just envisioned this ministry that would serve coaches spiritually and professionally.
Right.
They would pour back into their marriages.
Yeah, that's important.
Divorce rate in our profession was out the roof. And would help with character development student athletes. And really what he saw is what Billy Graham said years ago. One coach will impact more people in a year than the average person will in a lifetime.
Wow.
Billy Graham later said it when he made that statement, so who's coaching the coaches? And Jim said, what if we started a ministry that would impact the leaders, that's going to impact the next generation of leaders? And that's really Nations of Coaches in a nutshell.
And you jumped on that team when?
18 years ago.
And have been leading it for how long?
Since right at 2008.
Yeah.
And just watching from that first few years of trying to figure out.
And just learning.
How do you want to do it? We call it serving, connecting, equipping.
Yeah.
It was probably 2 years before we placed our first character coach, chaplain, full-time. It was at Kansas. To the day.
Going to start at the right place.
Might as well start somewhere, you know. But today, 500 of those later, serving, I think
500 chaplains
and character coaches.
Character
we've
coaches.
Trained.
In college basketball.
College basketball, college sports around
college
the U.S.
Sports.
It's been amazing the run that God's done and where we've seen him just open doors.
Yeah.
And then today, that is related to, we work with global sports chaplaincy, 17,000 chaplains around the world. Hey, can we have your resources?
Right.
So really watching a round orange ball filled with air changed the world.
And I love how you're trusted because you're around players who end up being iconic NBA players. You're around coaches that maybe were assistant coaches, graduate assistants, get into the college world, in the NBA now, winning national championships. What I've loved about that is you've just always seen yourself as someone who pastors them, loves them. You're not taking advantage of those moments. You just handle yourself well around very high profile people. And I think it's because some of the things, you learn, and I've seen you do this. I've seen our pastor do this, Chris Hodges. I've seen others do this, is they're just people.
Yeah.
They're people who need someone to love them, be there for them, walk with them. And that's been your experience. We've talked a lot about that.
Yeah, Dino, and we've seen that modeled by you. I'm a member at Church of the Highlands.
Yeah.
I've seen Pastor Chris model
100%.
this and preach this from the pulpit on Sunday.
Yeah.
And really, what God laid on my heart, we call it serving, connecting, equipping. Mark 9:35, I think Jesus set his team down. He knew he was about to go to the cross. He said, boys, you want to be great? That's what you're arguing about on the road.
Yeah.
That word of servant means to leverage our time, our talent, and our treasure to meet the needs of others. And I think the key words you said that God's used, and that Pastor Chris talks about this all the time, ministry is about relationships. Mm-hmm. It's trusted relationships. Mm-hmm. And what we've tried to do from day one is show up where these men are, show up where their families are, and just love them. We don't want anything from them. I remember coming into the first coaches' offices, and it's like, what do you want? Like they're guarded because everybody wants something. And we really had one deal. I don't want anything from you, coach. I want to help make your life easier. Because what we wanted to give them was Jesus.
Yeah.
But we couldn't give it to them until they trust us.
And it's literally, Tommy, every day it's impact. some of the stories you've shared, yeah, I mean, of course, and we'll talk a little bit about how people can connect, and pastors and leaders, whether it's coming to be a part of it, it's knowing about coaches in their community that would really love someone to come alongside and to do the, to be the character coach, to be the chaplain, to be the support, to be the prayer, because you guys are doing prayer. That's huge. I mean, your prayer base for these leaders is massive, and that's a big thing right now, the prayer.
Yeah, so, coming up March 1st, we think going back to COVID, had a Division I coach call at 5 a.m. crying and says, I don't know what to do. I mean, just the pressure. I just need you to pray for me, Coach Kyle. And that led to another call 30 minutes later. Tommy, we need the world to pray for us. And understanding the pressure that we have on these coaches and leaders today and the influence they possibly have. That led to the National Day of Prayer for College Basketball.
And what's incredible is you're doing it, then, so that just happened. And as we ramp up into March Madness, and you're a big part of that, Final Four. And then out of that, you have a lot of coaches changing. And a lot of players in the transfer portal going on to the next level, whether it's Europe or wherever. I mean, I think it's so strategic. I mean, we pray strategically here at Highlands at the beginning of the year. And so just came out of a big prayer time, and where you have literally tens of thousands of people, who knows how many, are praying for these student athletes and these coaches.
Yeah, I think really too, educating people, because we talk March Madness, we think of the ball, we think of the last second shot, we think of the celebrate one shining moment. But March Madness, from the chair we sit in, there was 190 families last year that lost a job, that relocated.
Is that head coaches?
Coaches, head coaches around the country.
Staff.
And so that affects all the staff.
Oh my gosh.
And then you think about some of them didn't get jobs back. But then think about the student athletes in the society we live with.
Today's world.
The pressure, because everyone of them think they're going to play professionally. Only 1.2% go. And it's the end of their career. And what do they do? And so for us, March Madness means it's an amazing opportunity to come in and serve.
God, it's like March ministry.
Love like Jesus. That we get to show up. This year, Nations of Coaches gave over $1 million away to coaches and their families, because sometimes they don't find a job.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in this episode of Unscripted. We just want to take a brief moment to say thank you to Vapor Ministries for helping make this episode possible. I love Vapor Ministries and Micah, his team out there. They're helping mobilize the church to bring physical relief. And I love the spiritual transformation to people living in extreme poverty. A lot of our team has been there. My goodness, the ministry that they do on the ground is incredible. They partner with congregations to support, have these centers around the world. You get to partner with them, Kenya, Togo, Haiti, where the vision is to break the cycle of poverty through quality education, clean water, agricultural development, and micro businesses, employment that creates economic growth in these communities. They work tirelessly to expand and reach of the local church to make disciples. They've got churches on the ground, prayer rooms. It's holistic. And I know that word can be different, but it is wholly meeting the needs of people through spiritual transformation and through going in there and creating a great environment for these precious people to literally reach them for Christ. So Vapor has prepared some special resources for the ARC family that you can access at arcchurches.com/partners. Make sure to check them out. They're amazing. How many Final Fours have you been to?
This will be 19 Final Fours.
19 Final Fours.
Yeah. Kid in a candy store. I'll never forget, Dino, first Final Four. We took this ministry over. And I mean, I'm like you. I grew up loving basketball. Like, this is a pinnacle. Like a kid. I never dreamed. I mean, like, I wanted to go to the Final Four just to go. Never dreamed that we'd be running all the coaches' events and doing all the leadership. And we do a service on Sunday. Like, just.
And that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. But I'll never forget, they said, hey, we want you here. I stayed in the main coach's hotel. So, like, I'm coming down the lobby and, like, there's everybody.
Trying to get autographs. Like, chill out.
There's everybody that I've seen. And we go to the Division I head coaches meeting. And every head coach in America was there, except for the 4 playing in the Final Four that year.
Right.
And they said, hey, we want to introduce you to Tommy and Heather Kyle. You've heard about Nations of Coaches, but they're going to run this organization that's going to serve you. And Dino, they brought us on stage.
Yeah, man.
And I sit on stage watching and
Legends.
looking Hall of Famers. I mean, like people all my life I've idolized, and going, okay, God, you've called us to serve them.
Yeah.
And going back to what we said about relationship, what God's done. I mean, I walked into the Celtics arena just a few years ago because the head coach of the Celtics, we served him when he was a Division II assistant coach.
Wow. That's that story.
And just when we start serving people where they are, we don't know what God's story is. We don't know where they're going to end up.
Yeah.
And what it does is then it allows us to share Jesus.
Well, and I wanted to say this because your wife was here earlier, and she's the wife of a coach.
Yeah.
That's another whole level. Your kids, how many kids?
We have 3 biologicals. We have 8 children.
Yeah,
8 children.
Everywhere I run into you. But I mean, what your wife has walked through, being the wife of a coach.
Yeah.
And then the transitions, the changes, the ups, the wins.
Yep.
People talking about you.
Yep.
The times you won in high school, the times you didn't win the big game. And then, I mean, so you can identify at that level. I mean, you have a great wife and your family, and I admire your marriage. But I mean, all those things are hard fought.
Yep.
So you're working with families that their life is hard fought, trying to stay together.
Yep. Probably the greatest thing that God's done in Nations of Coaches is the marriage and family ministry.
Yeah.
We've done Bible studies through our Character Cook program with coaches and athletes, but coming out of COVID, they had the desire to, hey, how about the wives? And their goal, I said, what's your big goal? They said, man, if we could get 44, Coach Kyle. They had 144 coaches' wives. Dino, right now, they have over 300 coaches' wives involved in a Bible study that runs 3 different times through the year. It's changed our marriage and family ministry. We've partnered with some Chick-fil-A's, Focus on the Family, Windshake. Today, we provide marriage and family resources for like entire conferences. So we're the provider for the SEC. But it's, those people a lot of times aren't seen. People forget about them. And my wife, being a coach's wife, was able to see them. And it's probably the greatest thing we do today.
The more we've talked about it, I know that's a big, churches are always, maybe you're a pastor or a planter, or, you're always looking for things to sow into that are making an eternal impact, change people's lives. So that's why we love our partnership with you. And we pray for you. I know Pastor Chris has been a part of that. And what I love about ARC's side of things is you have pastors that are in communities right now that have, whether it's a junior college, a D2, D3, I mean, you're impacting all of those big schools. And so that pastor can come around that church, or that church can come around that program. And there's just a lot of ways that you've helped pastors now interact. Not only can they give financially, or they could tell their church, look at the difference we're making. But then you create these ways that these pastors and leaders can interact with.
That's right.
With that influential opportunity on a campus.
Yeah. God has created through Nations of Coaches today a place that coaches and their families trust. A place that coaches sometimes even won't open their team, they won't open their doors to. People would love to get into.
Yeah.
What we desire, and what Pastor Chris and Dino, you've done through ARC has been so great for us, is when that coach calls, when that spouse calls, we're praying that God would open up a church, a pastor, in every city there's a coach, a college, that coach or a wife or family could go to. That we want to connect coaches and their families with the local church. And so my prayer is not only that do we want to reach every 1,964 men's programs.
That's how many there is.
Yep, over 3,000 men's and women's programs altogether. But that, hey, what if in every city where there was a college, we had a church that would adopt that team?
Yeah.
That would go in and be, a lot of our character coaches today are pastors.
That's right.
I have pastors all the time will come up to me, some I don't even know, and go, I've been pastoring all my life. The greatest thing I've ever done is being the character coach for that team.
Yeah.
It's why I got into ministry. And so our vision is that we want a church to join alongside in every city to go, hey, yeah, I'd love to pray for that coach. I'd love to adopt that team. I'd love to get involved.
Yeah.
And so I can't thank you enough.
Well,
what ARC's done, what Pastor Chris has done, how you're serving the world is amazing.
Well, I think that's key. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to do it. Not only to get in the gym, because this is kind of where we live our life in the gym. I mean, we're just gym rats. I mean, that's who we are.
Right.
I mean, they call us directors, pastors, and like that, but we're ballers.
Yeah.
Let's just admit it, Tommy. We're ballers. Okay. But we'll make sure our team will to make sure in the comments we'll lock in how everybody can find. And it would be good even to be able to put that, like a QR code. We'll make sure we put the QR code up.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden someone can watch this and say, hey, I'm an ARC church, I'm a pastor, maybe even on some type of forum. We'll figure all this out where, I'm in this city, I want to know about this team. So they can, even from this time together at Unscripted, we can get connected. Tell me this, highest point, what most points you ever scored in a game?
47. One time.
47?
But hey, I was at a small Christian high school. They weren't very good, Dino. They weren't very good.
47?
47. Most I've ever scored. I don't talk about that much, but my mom still.
I'm talking about it.
My mom still tells the story.
Your mom and me.
She loves high school basketball.
47?
But the team we played was horrible. I'm going to be honest.
Well, great. What year were you?
I was a senior.
You're a senior.
I was more of a facilitator in college.
No, but you had that.
I was the point
Did you have
guard,
that Michael Jordan? The bucket was this big. Were you Michael Jordan?
That night I was.
Who's your favorite player? College player.
Favorite college?
I know it's hard to say that.
I can't pick.
So we're not going to hold your ears.
I can't pick a favorite college player now,
I know you can't.
I'll get
Who influenced you? Who was like in your era playing college ball, high school? Who was like that era?
Man, I grew up in the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Dr. J. I love the Iceman, so I love watching all them. I grew up, when probably Dean Smith. And I know it's not good for you because you're a Dookie.
I'll tell you, I'm a Dookie, but I'm pulling for North Carolina because I'm an ACC guy.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling for North Carolina when they play anybody else but Duke. But you know what's crazy now that I live in Alabama? I am messed up. I'm a Duke, North Carolina fan. I'm an Auburn, Alabama fan for basketball.
Yeah.
Football, LSU.
You would never thought we would say Auburn,
girls
Alabama
basketball,
for basketball.
LSU now. I got to go LSU girls basketball. Kim Mulkey, she's a goat.
Yeah, well, I tell people all the time I was messed up, grew up in Alabama, football. We can talk a lot about basketball and everything, but I just, as a kid, fell in love watching Carolina basketball.
Yeah.
And probably even impacted my coaching.
Yeah.
I took so much. I remember reading all the Dean Smith's books and how I did it, but,
Well, it's a good day to like basketball in Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, two incredible programs, great coaches. We know both of those coaches.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
I mean, and not just in the game, but in life.
Yeah.
Both of those programs, good athletes making a difference.
Yeah, Dino, I'll say this. We got full-time character coaches at both Alabama and Auburn. Matter of fact, right now in the top 10, 6 of the top 10 schools, we have full-time character coaches at.
And so say that again, because I think that's important for a pastor or someone who wants to be a part.
6 of the top 10 schools in America today, we have full-time character coaches.
Character coaches.
Which are literally pastors to that team.
Full-time.
Full-time. So at Auburn, we got a Dallas Theological Seminary grad that's pouring into that team.
Legit.
And got a guy, another guy that's been in ministry his whole life at Alabama. And what people don't realize, you see the basketball, but I was just on the call the other day when one of them was sharing about 13 young men laying prostrate and praying for 10 minutes. We're talking about the starters on the team.
Yeah, that's revival.
We're talking about young men getting baptized. Dino, I heard this story the other day from a high-level Division I character coach. NIL is a big deal. They get a lot of money today.
Yeah.
The young men giving their NIL money to cover orphans they met on a mission trip.
Wow.
And understanding someone's teaching them how to give back already.
Yeah, but you hear it's raining here because we like being outdoor courts. We play a lot of ball outdoors still. I mean, I run a lot of game outdoors, just a lot of full court running. So we had to be inside. It kind of tones our game down a little bit because I like being under that sun at 100-degree weather. But I was going to ask you this because I think this is important. When you look at a college athlete right now, and you just said it, you're thinking, man, they're spoiled, money, but you're around college athletes that, man, being developed, giving back, being discipled, making a difference. So you look at our generation, sometimes you think we're giving up on a generation. We're seeing revival on college campuses right now, but we're connected to that. Pastor Chris is connected to that, Mark Pettis, our churches. And you're around that a lot right now, not just with the student athletes, but within the college. Can you encourage people that God is moving in our colleges right now?
Hey, I think more than ever before,
more than you've ever seen.
More than we've ever seen. I would say in a dark place, people are running to light. College kids want Jesus.
Yeah.
And when we're able to put a character coach we were able to bring in a local pastor or someone and open a door and allow them to share the light, the truth, they're eating it up.
Yeah.
We're watching them radically fall in love with Jesus. And that's from the high-level Division I to the NC triple double A, whatever, National Junior College. I mean, Dino, we placed a character coach at an HBCU school in North Carolina last year, okay? They got a JV still. This is back when they had JV programs. They still got a JV.
They have a JV at a college? A JV, maybe there's still hope for me.
A JV and a varsity. They got 31 athletes. We opened the door. The coach said yes. A local inner city pastor began sharing a Bible study on Sunday night.
Wow. 2
months in, Dino. Coach, are you okay if I share the gospel this week? Yeah, I want to be there. Dino, 19 young men gave their life to Jesus. Man. They baptized people in the cold tub. But the greatest part of that is they wanted it.
Yeah.
They wanted it. The very next week, one of those young men came around the curve, got hit head on.
Yep.
That coach called several months later and said, thank you. Because of nations of coaches.
Yeah.
Because of our Church of the Highlands and all the people who have invested.
Churches out there.
I was able at that funeral to tell Mom, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, he's in heaven today.
Amen.
That team this year are doing serve days. They're doing serve days.
Yeah, it's wild. Man, it just, I mean, Tommy, I mean, it's all of our lives. It's full circle. It's all of our lives. Now, you said something, I wanted to hit on this because we're in March Madness. Got some teams coming up. You know, I'm going to go Duke. I'm going to go, hey, I can't go North Carolina because, you know, it's just, I'm going to go Duke, Auburn, Alabama. You know, I don't know who I'm going to throw in there. I'm going to do Connecticut girls in my Final Four now because of buckets.
They got beat by Tennessee last week.
I know. So, but anyway, but you're very busy that Final Four weekend. And you said something about a Sunday service, which I think is so cool because we've been able to connect some churches to that. But what is that like on a Sunday? Give us a minute on what that experience is like.
So let's go back probably 14, 15 years ago. The vision was, so our national coaches convention is the only coaches convention that takes place at their championship weekend.
That's right. That's
so
wild.
We'll have 4,000 to 5,000 coaches. Literally that Wednesday till Sunday.
During it all.
The games are on Saturday, Monday.
Right.
And so we do like a wives event. We'll have 400 or 500 wives. We've had Priscilla Shires, others speak. I mean, it's like a little sorority deal. I mean, it's crazy how they act. Then we'll have some leadership stuff with coaches. But then about 14, 15 years ago, they said, a lot of these people need a place to worship. What if we did a non-denominational service? The first year we had 44. Before COVID, Dino, we had over 1,000 multiple Sundays. We averaged between 500 and 1,000 coaches and their families show up. Now we're getting commentators, we're getting ADs, and it's using the ballroom. And it's been amazing. We'll partner with local churches, get them to come do the worship. And we get to just be in a light of encouragement. And you see different denominations. We've seen coaches we've heard testimonies of coaches getting radically saved, like life changed. We have a guy on our staff that he was looking for another event. He was looking for another event and walked into the Sunday morning service in the ballroom at the main coach's hotel.
Yeah.
And so, at the Final Four for us is like a big fishing pond where we'll get to serve coaches at the convention, at the booth. We'll get to do these events, and then we culminated on Sunday with a worship service.
Yeah. You ever remember a time when you were coaching? So you coached for 8 years?
12 years.
12 years. Did y'all make it to state?
We did.
How many times?
So we made state 3 times.
3 times. Took a team,
Yeah.
same class or different groups?
Yeah, same class.
You must have had some ball players.
Two runner-ups, and then we got beat in the semifinals one year.
So
got beat on the last second shot, Dino. It kind of sticks with you.
That's what I was going at. So last second shot, team beat you.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you saying in the locker room that when you go in there with those players, they could have won, they had an opportunity, they should have, a lot of times in a game like that, it's like, we had an opportunity to win. We missed the late, we made a bad pass. You see that? You see my motion there? You saw my motions.
I think you were more of a shooter, but I saw you. You're a facilitator.
I was a fouler.
You're trying to facilitate now.
I was holding jerseys. But what are you saying to those students?
I think at that time, I tell people this all the time, it is relationships, because there's a lot of work that went into that. And
1,000 hours of practice.
And you spend more time as a coach than probably that father or mother did that year.
Of course.
And so it's more about not what you say, but it's more about the ministry of presence.
Yeah.
And you're crying and you're telling them how much I love you. But I'm gonna tell you what it does. So before you and I started this today, that championship team that got beat that year, one of the guards on that team, Coach, you in town? Can we meet today? That was 20-something years ago.
Wow.
They become your family.
Yeah.
They become your kids. That those young men, that we get to have an influence and impact in their life, they'll reach out to you in every hard time.
Right.
And then they're going to want to share with you with their children, their grandchildren.
Gosh, yeah.
And it's just, it becomes a family. And I think that's why it's so important of, what God's called us to do today is, hey, we get to reach those next generation leaders.
All right. What are you most excited about for nations of coaches right now? Hey, we really feel like we're going into this area. This is something that I really get fired up about the next year or two.
I think for us, most excited is, Dino, God's done a lot, and we're becoming the trusted place.
Yeah.
That not just coaches are coming, but the SEC, the ACC, or conferences are going. And I think we're going to a higher level. It's kind of our tagline is, hey, Nations of Coaches, a higher level of play.
That's cool.
And you go a lot of ways with that. And, we're going to give them Jesus, ultimately, is what we're going to give them. But what we've asked God is by 2030, we want ever 1,964 programs.
Yeah.
It's
great vision.
It's why it's so important that churches, we lock arms with churches all over America. That when a coach or wife reaches out, we want to go, hey, Pastor so-and-so's right down the street.
Yeah.
They're there for you. And we're really excited about that. We've seen, like last year, I think we were able to pour in over 600 marriages. We're watching God restore and heal marriages. Cool. Right now, it's just the growth of that, of God, how do we do it? We just placed a regional guy that'll start next month in Arizona.
That's great.
And so, really.
There's so many good programs. It's like Arizona State, Arizona.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many programs out there that have so many opportunities. Sometimes if you affect that athlete, you can affect that student body.
So, I mean, it's really that, because we ran into Unite, the events they're doing right now, the revivals on college campuses. So one of the coaches' wives that's leading that's a dear friend of ours.
Yep.
So we're at the University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
A youth pastor comes up from one of the large churches in Knoxville, saw Nations of Coaches. What do you do? I work for Nations of Coaches. Yeah. He said, I'm gonna tell you about Nations of Coaches. I had no idea who I was. I'm here today because my character coach, who was a local pastor at his Division III college, changed my life for eternity. I gave God ministry. So now he's serving, and we just see the trickle effect.
So, hey, we're gonna finish up our game here. What was a drill you couldn't stand when you played? You know what I never did good was that one where you weave. What do you call it? The
three-man weave.
Three-man weave. I never knew where to go. It's like, go behind that guy, come back around. I would always end up in the wrong place.
So you were the guy I got frustrated with all the time. You were the big guy.
I had to run.
I'm like, come on now, just get it right. All you gotta do is catch the ball and go behind the guy.
Yeah, what do you call when you run back, touch foul line?
Yeah, that's, you can't say the word anymore.
Yeah, but
we used to call it suicide.
Yeah, but we just run it a lot.
We just run it a lot.
Just running a lot. Yeah. Gassers. They call them gassers now.
Yeah, gassers.
So what one did you not like? What drill did you not like?
I didn't mind the drills, but I didn't like the gassers because I was usually running because somebody else, like me, couldn't do the drill.
Yeah, and then I didn't make the free throw.
Couldn't do the drill right.
Yeah.
And then probably sometimes they would do passing drills, like the star passing drill.
Yeah.
And I would go, I don't know that we're getting better. How does this go?
Because I've got a green light to shoot, to knock down 47.
Well, but it didn't help you become a better passer.
What's the most free throws you ever made in a row? Have you ever set knock down 20, 25?
Oh, yeah. I think at one time in college, 50-something in a row.
It's just sitting and shooting.
Yeah, but that's all you do. It's just, you shoot every day.
Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out to my follower, Wayne Austin, who played with Pistol Pete. I've told you that.
Yeah.
I got to make sure you meet him one day.
Okay.
He was just at LSU. They honored all the previous players. Part of the L Club, got to go out on the court. And he was there with some of those guys who played with Pistol Pete.
Right.
And so he's a legend in his own mind.
Right.
He's a legend in our home. Because, Pistol Pete was my goodness gracious.
Unbelievable. One of the best ever.
Yeah, one of the best ever. Man, thanks so much for spending time with me. How do people find out, and what do you want them to know, how they can get connected with Nations of Coaches?
I think you go to nationsofcoaches.com and get connected with us. Love for you to follow, love for you to look to partner. Like I said, it's been 18 years, Dino, of relationships. And this is what we're asking God is, God, who we're supposed to do life with one goal. We're going to reach the next generation of leaders. We're going to equip coaches to leave a legacy of excellence. And that legacy is going to be all about Jesus.
Yeah. Biggest question of the day, Michael or LeBron?
Michael.
Oh, old school. Old school.
Hey, my kids and I argue all the time. I got 2 LeBrons, the rest Michael. I made them sit down and watch. Like, guys, how?
Yeah,
like,
you
it's
did.
not even a comparison. It's not even a comparison.
That's why I love this guy. Hey, thanks a lot.
Hey, God bless you,
Let's
Dino.
finish our game.
Let's go.
Right here. Right here.
I'm about to go left-handed, though. See,
I know, you got to go lefty.
Right, yeah, that's sure.
It can't happen.
But I'm going to work on my left.
At ARC, relationships are everything. We don't just plant churches, we build life-giving communities that transform cities for the glory of God. With ARC, you're never alone in the journey, and we want to provide practical coaching, resources, financial models that are rooted in generosity, help you plant a church, a large launch church to thrive from day one. If you feel called to plant a church, you want to partner with us to plant more ARC churches, we want to help that. So join a network of more than 1,132 church plants, thousands of partners in the ARC family making a real difference. One community at a time, let's plant more churches. So visit arcchurches.com to learn more, plant with us, partner with us. Together we can reach more people through the message of Jesus Christ. And it takes existing churches to be sending churches to plant new churches. Let's do it together.